Hi, I'm Dave from boyinaband.com, and welcome to day 2 of my 7-day song tutorial on drum and bass. Yesterday we made a punchy D&B beat for the driving basses of our track. In day 2, I'll be teaching you how to make 2 synth patches, a powerful Reese bass synth and a speaker shaking sub bass. Okay, let's begin. Let's start with the Reese bass because it's frickin' awesome. The Reese bass synth is synonymous with drum and bass. It's called a Reese bass because of its creator, Kevin Maurice Saunderson. Maurice got shortened to Reese. Create a combinator and name it bass. Inside the combinator, right-click and create an instance of Thor Polysonic Synthesizer, and then right-click and initialize the patch. Click Show Programmer to open it up so we can get to work. Create 2 multi-oscillators and an analog oscillator. Detune the 2 multi-oscillators a bit to thicken it up, and send them through with numbers 2 and 3 here. So we've got all 3 oscillators going into the filter. Now, the 2 multi-oscillators will provide the kind of thick tone of the Reese bass, and the analog oscillator will provide the punchy forefront to the synth sound. I'll put in some notes so we can hear the synth now. There we go, I've just added in a riff here in the sequencer window, so if you have a listen to that. Cool drum and bass riff that we can work with, so I'll solo that out. And we'll get to work making this even cooler. Now, hit the portamento on, and maybe turn it down a little bit. This just makes the notes slide between each other. Turn the amp envelope up to full for the sustain and decay, so that it doesn't lose any volume over time, and the notes hit at a consistent level. Now this is pretty cool, but to make it even more interesting, I'm going to modulate a notch filter over the synth with an LFO. Not as hard as it sounds at all. Just turn the low pass filter into a state variable filter. So like notch. Turn this into the middle. And take the frequency down to about 100 hertz. This just cuts frequencies around the selected frequency, so by moving this frequency point around, it'll give you a sweet sweeping effect. Okay. So, turn the LFO tempo sync on and change the rate to 2 to 1. Then, in the modulation bus routing section, route LFO 1 100% to filter 1 frequency. Hear that? That's the sound of success, otherwise known as a filter sweep. But we're not done yet. A Reese bass needs a sharper tone than this, so let's add a Scream 4 distortion unit. Right-click, create, Scream 4 distortion. Yeah. As always with this, it's pretty much your playground, so try different settings to get the tone you want. But I'll be using the tube distortion, about half damage control, and the bias I'm going to have half, or rather the contour half, the bias at about 1/4. Okay, I've removed the cut section, how ironic, and changed the type of the body to A. These are all different kind of amp simulators, so try them all out, but A is pretty cool. That just adds an edge to the sound. Now finally, right click on Scream 4 and create an M-class equalizer. Now this is where I'm going to emphasize some of the best parts of the tone. Hit the low cut and take the frequency right down on the low shelf to 30 Hz and take the gain down as low as it goes, with the bandwidth as high as it goes, and that really removes that low end. The low end should be where the sub bass goes rather than the Reese bass. Okay, now hit param 1 on and boost the frequency around 700 by about 6 decibels, just to add a bit of warmth to the tone. And param 2 on and boost around 4 kHz. Obviously this will depend on what your settings are in your Scream 4 distortion unit, but this is for my one. Maybe widen the bandwidth a bit. You can hear that's much sharper now. Okay. Now, to flatten out the volume level, right click, create, compressor, and take the threshold and the ratio just up to full, and that'll flatten out the level. And there's your Reese bass. Sweet. Let's move on to the sub bass. Okay, now for the sub bass. This is actually a ridiculously easy synth to make, but I usually add a few extra things to make it a bit more powerful. So right click and create a combinator and name it sub bass. Add a Thor instance. Doesn't have to be Thor, but I just like Thor. I'm a Thor whore. Right click, initialize patch, open it up, and select the sine wave here in the analog oscillator. That's the default. Now if you open up here, and I'll just drag the notes across so we can have something to listen to. I'm not sure you'll be able to hear it because it'll be quite low, because it is a sub bass. But yeah, you could just leave the sub bass here, because that is already a powerful enough sub bass, because a sine wave is very good for this sort of thing. But I like to have 3 different sine waves, like this, and an octave spread, a 3-octave spread. Maybe take one down an octave, so you've got the bassier one and the higher one, and then make sure that the higher one isn't as loud as the others, and the bassier one is the most prominent, or rather the loudest volume, so it's not taken over by the higher, more prominent sounds. Okay, cut everything using the filter above about 100 Hz, and turn the sustain on the amp envelope to full. And there you have it. Crank that sub bass and blow some speakers. Now let's have a listen to that in the track. Now this is coming along nicely. Crank that sub bass and blow some speakers. Tune in tomorrow where I'll be showing you how to make an awesome lead synth to go over the top of this. See you tomorrow!
If you found this tutorial useful, help me out by rating this video or posting a comment so other people can find it. And don't forget to check out my website, boyinaband.com. Have a nice day!